take a complete revision of the healthcare system in this country, and the healthcare costs of this country might actually go through the roof under that thing, at least for the first few years. So anyway, there's again, that could be a 3-hour lecture, and I'm not even biased for it or against it. What I'm really against is how it's talked about so simply and so quickly, like off the cuff, no problem. If I just had this would solve it all. And when you hear somebody say that, they just have no idea what they're talking about. I can promise you that.
Perfect. Our next subject is this small little bill called National Health Care, the patient PPACA.
PPACA.
Otherwise known as Obamacare. We had a couple panelists who had something to say about, how does this going to impact you? What is this going to do for our future? This specific piece of legislation that you are aware of, how do you see it impacting us as employers?
Well, I'll start.
Peter?
Yeah, I would say that the goal of the Accountable Care Act is noteworthy, it's appropriate, and the idea to get everybody health insurance in this country is important. So I would say our company firmly believes that no matter what happens with the Supreme Court that starts next week and whether the individual mandate gets overturned, changes in the way the health care system and health insurance operates in this country will change, and we're not sitting there hoping it gets overturned so that we can go back to the good old days. We are going to continue to forge ahead to provide coverage for our customers post healthcare reform, no matter what happens. So I'd start by saying that. And even if it were to get overturned, I can pretty darn well rest assure you the state of California is not going to sit back, and there will be healthcare reform in the state of California if the ACA were to get overturned. So we're going to operate and play in that environment. I'd say there's some good things that have come about in the early stages, expanding coverage to age 26 dependents and finding ways to get more people into the system is a good thing. I would say that the administrative complexities and the ability to comply with the law, from our perspective, is unbelievably onerous and drives cost up. So if you think about the idea that we're trying to create administrative simplification through the Affordable Care Act, you should come hang out with some of our compliance people for a day or two and see what's really going on. So it's complex. I think it's appropriate. I think fundamentally the Accountable Care Act is important to get everybody in under the tent. We now got to figure out how to make the cost less and improve the quality of how we deliver care.
Jim, do you have some comments?
I was going to say that I think the only thing in the PPACA, just speaking to one aspect of it, because it's, again, I agree that I think it's a noble endeavor. I think it was way too complicated, and it'll take years to actually write all that. It's a 3,000-page bill. It's not a 3,000-page regulation. It'll probably be 100,000 pages of regulations, which will take more than a decade to write. And by the time they finish them, they'll probably be cross purposes with one another. I mean, it's overly complicated, and I don't know why the last few years our legislatures have been doing things like that. The Dodd-Frank bill, again, same kind of thing. Way too noble, way too complicated. But the only thing in the PPACA that had anything to do with cost, because it's so easy, and our politicians love to do this. I vote access. And if I could be king, I could just vote, all of you have a little blue card I can give you. Now you all have health care. You didn't have an hour ago, and I give it to you. And you all have this little blue card that says you have health care, and it's free and all this stuff. And you're like, wow, Tim is great. And it's like, there I go. Now, I dare you to go find a doctor. Though, let's say I